Lego dropped a set that made Twilight fans very happy. In fact, on February 2025, the company released the Cullen House, a main location of the Twilight Saga. Well, let me present to you my redesign of the same set, but brought to another level in terms of dimensions, proportions, and accuracy. Before jumping into the in-depth analysis of the house, I'd like to start from Bella's truck. The 6-wide truck made by Lego has been disassembled in favor of a 7 studs wide model, with a bigger attention to details. With a width of 7 studs and advanced building solutions, it was possible to create details like the 2 air intakes that you can spot on the real truck. The vehicle is now 1 stud longer and is equipped with new wheel arches and new tiling for the back of the pickup. An upside-down assembly forms the back of the cabin, and with a clever technique I was able to attach the roof. After introducing the modifications I made to the truck, we can now focus on the redesign of the house itself. To better show carefully every modification, I'm going to separate all the modular parts. In order to start this project and to be as accurate as possible, I used original floor plans of the house and a very accurate 3D model I found on the internet, plus some real-life photos of the location. The ground floor is the one that has been modified the most. The entire floor has been lifted in height by 3 bricks approximately, so I could build this beautiful modern staircase and a longer ramp for the garage. I also filled all this area with a nice garden that well integrates with the stairs. By looking at the photos, I noticed that this garden is not that full of vegetation, so it's mostly brown with a nice percentage of dark green and some olive green plants. I tried to create a nice contrast between the different shades of green and brown. The staircase is the main star of this area, and I was very careful when building it with the same exact number of steps and the same shapes. Since the ramp of the garage is inclined, I had the idea of making a big panel that included both the ramp and the garden. By lifting the entire ground floor, you can see that this part is made by ground level plates and inclined panels. Without the panels, the floor is basically empty, but when you add the left panel, it goes together nicely. On the right instead, a smaller panel fills the space on the opposite side of the staircase. The entrance of the Cullen House is mostly made of glass, so I changed its look by using transparent bricks, and the entire assembly is less inclined than it is in the official Lego set. Near the entrance door, there's a part of the house that I changed completely. It's a long room with horizontal windows. The Lego set here went quite cheap by using vertical door frames. I used studs on the side construction to try replicating this section of the house. Then I added a new version of the pillar, a wider version of it, since from the photos I saw that it was clearly wider. A top view of the ground floor now shows the inclusion of a garage, even if it's empty, and a white wall separating the garage from the entrance hall. It makes sense if you think that the official set had a living room with a piano behind the garage door. The entire ground floor is then completed with this big modular part that is basically a small hill on the left side of the garage and comprehends the characteristic patio for the upper floor. This patio has a particular shape, and I used a long wedge plate and a clever build to make a wall with the same inclination of the wedge plate. Then I completed this modular assembly with the 2 trees of the official Lego set. I've made this part modular for easy transportation so you can disconnect and connect it with pins to the ground floor. It's now time to move to the upper floor, a very particular section of the house. This floor is completely different from the original set in every way, from the shape of it, perimeter and width, to the different building solutions of which consists. First of all, the living room zone is way larger, with longer strips on the front of the house, since the architectural structure of it wants the left side to be as long as the right side. On the official Lego set, things are definitely simpler, with a shorter left side. You can also notice how the glass windows start way further on the real-life house, while on the original Lego model they begin just after 3 studs. I moved the windows assembly to the right by 2 more studs, making the front of the floor more accurate. Even the veranda is way larger now. From the real-life photos and the 3D model, you can agree that on the original model was too small. With new building solutions, I changed completely this area, both in dimensions and the shape of it, always referring to the 3D model of the house. Of course, I couldn't go as large as the real house, but I had to stay faithful to the dimensions of the ground floor. The back of the floor instead is mostly plain, with the inclusion of some windows. We can now take a look of the interior of this floor. Thanks to a bigger living room, I could fit the piano from the official set and the blue sofa to create the same scene from Breaking Dawn where Edward plays the piano with his daughter. The other side instead now features a redesigned kitchen, more accurate to the real thing, and a small library with a sofa that can be seen in the movies. There's also a dining table and a pillar near the kitchen table, accurate to the movies and the floor plan. The second floor is the last part of the house, and the first big differences you can spot from the official set is that it's way larger than before, and that I also changed the shape and the color of the roof, going for a dark grey color rather than the dark brown chosen by Lego. Edward's room is of course larger and has now an entrance like in the movie, rather than being open to the stairs. The bathroom was perfectly fine to me, and on the extended space to the right I added the room where Bella prepares for her wedding. The 2 parts of the roof then of course complete this floor in the same style of the official Lego set. Before ending this presentation, it's worth doing some comparisons between this model, the official Lego model, and the real-life source from an architectural perspective. First of all, it's clear that Lego didn't have to make a proper replica of the house, given the target audience this set was made for. We all can agree with this. This redesign was a personal choice coming from my appreciation for the modern architecture of the house itself, and I'm not trying by any means to talk badly about Lego. I just wanted to create a proper replica of the location since me and my girlfriend are great fans of the franchise, and we bought the set to display it in our home. Thanks to the 3D model and the movie shots, it's possible to appreciate some details on the front of the house, like this grey vertical stripe that starts from the ground all the way up to the second floor. There's also the horizontal orange line that is interrupted by the vertical grey stripe, like in the real house. Another great detail can be seen in the point where the pillar sustains the first floor, right in the point where the perpendicular lines meet. There are of course other faithful aspects of the model compared to the real house that are worth mentioning, like the fact that the second floor's right extremity aligns with the pillar, or the fact that the portion of the same wall of the second floor has the same depth of the parallel extremity of the first floor. Of course these are minor details, but they are there in spite of the accuracy I put in this project. The 3D model also features part of the house that you never see in the movies, like this back section that I decided to not include, going for a flat back instead. It's better to stick to stuff that have a foundation, I think. So this was my quick overview of my modified Cullen House. I hope to have inspired you and that it was interesting to watch. Hopefully some diehard fans of the Twilight Saga will choose to take inspiration from this. In the meanwhile, I'll see you on the next one.